you know, there are girls in the hood that they look around this room and they just laugh.
Have you ever been punched by a girl?
Yep, I have. I've been knocked out by a girl. Knocked out. A big 250-pound black chick.
Was that in the barrio?
No, it wasn't in the bar. It was in New York City. Walking out of a bar on 50th Street.
What did you say to her?
Because I said something to the effect, it looks like a gunny sack with two pigs in it, her ass. And she waited for me. And I'm all happy-go-lucky, happy as Larry. Boom! The next thing I know, I'm like this, and I'm waking up, what the fuck? Now, see, my defense, your defense, well, she cold-cocked me. See, that's, you'd use an excuse. You didn't see, but I'm not using that as an excuse. She probably could have knocked me out straight up. But I got hit in the side of the head, and all I saw was lights were out. Lights were out, you know. And then, according to, I wasn't awake. She goes, oh, take care of that white fuck, you know. Slap, you know, and just walk off. Her ass did, and if you're watching, sweetheart, your ass did look like two fucking pigs in a gunny sack. Boom! Lights out.
Were you with anyone at the time?
Yeah, I was with two guys. No. She had 2 or 3 friends too, all girls. And these guys weren't snowflakes, but they don't want any part of it, you know. They said it was a fair fight. Well, it wasn't exactly a fair fight. It's all girls. It's, you know, the fight's over. No more here.
Did she stomp you after you?
No, she didn't. She knocked me out, and I was out. Now when I go out, after I'm a smart ass to somebody in the bar, now I look out like this. You know, so I don't get hit with a brick. Well, I've been hit with a brick too before, but now see, you guys probably, some of you have never been knocked out in this room. Some of you have never been in a fight. Some of you have never been hit with a brick. Some of you, you know, I mean, and I'm not saying that's a definition of being an alpha male, but there's a different set of rules, or I should say there's no rules. You know, it's survival of the fittest. There's a survival of the fittest. And there are people out there that live like this every day. You know, that's why, 600 people get killed in Chicago. You know, it's the murder kingdom or whatever they call it. And people are dying in Haiti every single day. In Africa, in the African countries. And the little snowflakes, they get mad because the fucking battery goes out on their phone. You know, they're going to sue the telco company because their fucking battery goes out.
Were you embarrassed when you woke up?
Yeah, sure I was. I was embarrassed. I was pissed first. Now I'm ready to dance around. Well, see if that bitch can knock me out now. You know. But I was just as glad that she wasn't there. She was a big tough girl, and I'm drunk on my ass. You know. Which I did a lot of, unfortunately. But I mean, they're from a different social economic milieu. I mean, 50% of the people I met when I was in Russia were tough. 50%, maybe more, and they didn't put up any bullshit. It's different. You put these snowflakes in the middle of Ukraine, in the middle of Moscow, and not at the Metropole Hotel or shit like. I don't mean that, but I mean, it'd be ugly. It'd be fucking ugly. Let alone if you put them out, outside the what's called the civilized belt, and that's how they are. They're just tough. They're tough, and the thing I admire about the Eastern Bloc, not the politics, but the former Eastern Bloc countries, those guys are tougher. They just are. And when we visited through Lithuania and Estonia and Hungary and Bulgaria and to a lesser extent Romania, and as you go farther east, Ukraine, it's a different world.
Have you ever been punched by a Russian?
No, not by a Russian, no.
Have you ever been kicked in the balls in a fight?
Yeah, I've been kicked in the balls in a fight, yes I have. And it's not like in the movies where they bounce up and That ain't how it works. That ain't how it works, believe me. And your balls can get bruised by getting kicked. You know, I've had black and ball. I wish there were black and blue balls because I fucked all night, but that wasn't why they were black and blue. It's because somebody booted me in the balls. Now, and we have people on that wall that their life goal is they want to get into a barroom fight. I mentioned this the first day. And the two of the three for sure would not live through a barroom fight. We would be going to the funeral shortly thereafter, or the wake shortly thereafter, because, you know, when they hit you with a bar stool, it doesn't shatter and you bounce up. You know, the bar stool probably won't break, and, you know, you're fucked up. But even Sally's been in fights, you know. She probably doesn't want me to talk about it, but Sally used to be a weightlifter. When I first met her many, many years ago, she was a weightlifter.
Have you seen her?
No, I've never seen her. As close as we came to is that episode I described earlier. But she's gotten in the face of the fucking Chinese police. I mean, her instincts from when she was in the hood come out. You can't get rid of those. And it normally takes 4 or 5 glasses of Chardonnay with her, and then she can be very aggressive. She can be very aggressive. But I'm not recommending this for any of the kids, and certainly not the snowflakes. I don't want you to get hurt. I don't want your parents writing me a fucking letter or an email. My snowflake little wussy son got his neck broken because he went down to the hood and tried to pick a fight with some big kid. Although I won't lose any sleep over the little fucker getting his neck broken, but I mean, you know, he probably needed his neck broken anyway, you know, and if you had to give him a fucking whooping, you know, it'd be tougher. But anyway, I'm just kidding. Okay, any questions? Okay, let's see, who's my 5 o'clock? 6 o'clock? 7 o'clock? Okay, we got Chinaman. Okay, yes.
I kind of asked this earlier, but do you not want us to take anything to any of these meetings?
No, you should know your script. And don't take notes. That doesn't mean you can't have somebody take notes. Some of the kids go with their, you know, assistant, and you can't take the board members to all your practice meetings. You know, you're going to need, ostensibly, you'll need more practice than they will, the board members. So the first few meetings, you should go on your own. You practice in front of a mirror, you tape them, blah, 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 like I told you. And then the first few meetings, you go on your own. And then and some of the guys and gals have taken, their secretary, if they have one, or to take notes. But as soon as you leave the meeting, as soon as you get out of the building, sit down and, you know, however you keep track and memorialize. And every meeting, you'll focus on what went right in the meeting, but what could you have done better? You know, and then you're reading body language, you're reading their facial expressions. You know, some of you will say something, all of a sudden they'll go from a half smile to a frown. What the fuck did you say? And don't get involved in political talks. You know, you're not there to talk politics. Yeah.
You go, mate. Okay. Well, what's an easy conversation to build rapport that's mutual?
Well, as I said, when I walk in, I look at what they have on the walls. Are they tennis players, skiers? One time, a few years ago, I see the guy, that famous scene, like the guy there who's at Machu Picchu. Sally and I just returned from Machu Picchu, and he had a picture there. So I talked to him about it. And you'll see the magazines on the tables in the reception on something, and find something to talk about. But you'll also have researched the guy or the gal from LinkedIn, from other Google resources. You know, the guy, was an All-American baseball player at X. The guy crewed for Cambridge or Harvard or Oxford. I went to a guy who was a bronze medalist at the '68 Olympics in wrestling. And you'll do your homework, so you'll know about him, and you'll be able to talk intelligently about something else.
Will you ever tell stories like you tell us?
Well, yeah, well, some probably not as graphic as some of the stories I've told you, but yeah, I mean, because when I go to the meetings, they will have Google fuck me, and so they'll see that how do you like living in a castle? If I had $1 for every time I got asked that question, one of the great stories is many years ago, a guy had a real special dinner plan for me. So they picked me up in Brussels and drove 2.5, 3 hours, and it was for a castle dinner. And this is before Google. And so, and he said, well, how do you like eating dinner in a castle? So the guy that was with him, he just looked down, and I said, well, it's unusual. And then I would have dropped it. I wouldn't have said anything. Then he asked, oh, have you had dinner in other castles? And I'm starting to bite my lip like, yeah, I probably had dinner 2,000 nights in a castle. He says, 2,000 or 3,000? I said, yeah. And I said, let's see, 20 years at this time. It's 20 years, 365 days. I probably, yeah, a couple thousand. And then he says, and then he asked me, and I told him, and he said, then he looked at the guy who set up the dinner. His credibility just went down the toilet, because of political correctness, even 20 years ago, he couldn't tell the guy. He was embarrassed to tell the guy that a castle dinner is probably not the right thing for Mr. Peña. Even though you're trying to do the right thing, be impressive, that's not, but he didn't tell him. And of course now, 20 years later, I mean, I should have told him, but you only have one time to make a first impression. And he had a Maybach. He was driving a Maybach. Is it Maybach? Maybach. And so I'm looking for something to say positive. And I said, that's a great car. And he said, oh yeah. He says, you have one? No, I don't have one. I don't have one of those. And so then his ego got inflated up again. He felt better that, but that's what he had. And then we talked about cars, and I had a Cobra, and I had a lot of other stuff. So we were able to talk about cars, but I didn't have that car. So but we didn't talk one word more about the castle. But you will talk about other things, and you should, and that's why you should do your homework about these guys and gals. Yes, sir.
Would you do the meetings at their office or your own office to save time or machine gun?
No, I mean in the beginning. Well, if you have an office, okay, is this your cut corner office? Is this where you cut the corners? Yeah. Okay. And
Green Park.
pardon?
It's in Green Park.
Okay, well that's a nice area. I mean but I'll never forevermore. I'll know him as corner cutter, cut corners, because I asked him some questions which I'm not going to share, and he said yes, and so forevermore. That's how I think of him. Just when you're building the bridges and buildings, I hope you're not cutting corners that are going to burn down and fall down. But anyway, no, I would depending on if you're interviewing these guys for chairman, go to their office. Now, some of the guys that are retired, the last year, as I said yesterday, the last year of their club, because they don't have an office anymore. And some of the PwC and some of the big firms and some of the big law firms have a special suite of offices for the retired partners to use. And those are good because you're going to meet other people at the law firm. You're going to meet other people at the accounting firm. But there's nothing wrong if you've got a nice office. Some of the kids have where you can rent office space and you can use their boardroom and various other things. I forget what they're called now. I've never had it. Pardon? What?
Co-working space?
Yeah, no, not co-working. Where you have boardrooms facilities, and there's a receptionist that says Mr. Jones will be right with you, and then they take you to a boardroom. Some of the kids use those. Or some of the kids just do it on the internet, as I've told you before. And in this day and age, Zoom and Skype interviews are pretty common. pretty damn common. But if you're going after Tony Blair or Nigel Lawson, or you're not going to be doing a Skype interview or a Zoom. And those guys that we talked about for you, those are in person, face-to-face kind of meetings. Because they're due the respect. They've been, at the pinnacle of business in whatever field they are, or the pinnacle of medicine, or whatever the fuck, and you owe them that respect. And some of the old gits will demand it, whether you think they're owed it or not, And a couple of kids want to invite some big shot, and they're not into Starbucks, They weren't into Starbucks 25 years ago, and they're sure as fuck not into it now to go there and meet somebody. And rightfully so. There's a certain air of privacy, as they say, they want in the meeting. And how much privacy is there at a Starbucks meeting? None. And so you may think that that's private enough, but a lot of the big fucking hitters that you're going to be chasing won't think it's private enough at all. And they'll be insulted. And rightfully so. They're due the respect. You going to say something?
I was going to ask a question.
Okay, go ahead.
If your board comprises of minorities, let's say.
You mean brothers?
Well, let's say it's women.
Oh, you mean those kind of minorities? Yeah, well, fuck them, Okay.
Brotherly women, Chinese, whatever.
Oh, Chinaman. Look at this guy. He's getting real liberal now. Gonna put a goddamn Chinaman on the board.
The question is when you go for some of these, when we were talking about earlier, government contracts.
That looks good. The answer is yes.
Okay.
The more one-eyed black, one-titted, one-eyed black chicks, and that all looks good. And don't send me a bunch of shit on the YouTube, please. If you're gonna go for minority contract business, you stack that motherfucking board with minorities. It's like in Texas, they say, Peña, did you get into that goddamn minority money? No, sir, I'm not sure I know what you're talking about. You know that goddamn minority, that one-tinted black kind of minority money? No, sir, this isn't, this is not an 8A. We're not doing set-aside business, and these are the other buzzwords. I think you ought to go get that goddamn minority money, And oh God! Truth is stranger than fiction. God damn it! There's some of these guys, and in the South down there. Which I'm a product of a long time ago. They're funny as shit, and they're not doing it to be bigoted. That's just how they fucking talk. Political correctness hasn't creeped down to parts of Texas and Alabama, Oklahoma, and Georgia yet. It just hasn't. It just hasn't. Whereas you can't go any place in California unless you're out in the middle of the Mojave Desert. Political correctness is, the state is, got political correctness running all over it. And that's one of the reasons I believe that California is losing business, where other states in the union are gaining business. They go out of their way. There's states in the United States that will give you tax benefits, no taxes for 10 years, state taxes. They'll give you grant money. Give, not loan. And if you can be in the South, and I'm not saying the South shall rise again, YouTube, so don't give me any shit. But if you can be in certain southern states, it's beneficial to your business. Thanks, YouTube. Bye-bye.